According to recent estimations, Greece is becoming one of the top European hubs for tech startups. So, how can local startup founders attract the attention of angel investors and raise funds for their projects? We went straight to the source and asked the angel investors themselves what catches their eye and opens their wallets.
Γεια σας! Πρόσφατα ανακάλυψα το Scramble. Για να είμαι ειλικρινής στην αρχή, δεν ήξερα τι να περιμένω. Όμως αφού το δοκίμασα, κατάλαβα ότι το Scramble κάνει την επένδυση σε αναπτυσσόμενα consumer brands σε όλη την Ευρώπη πραγματικά προσβάσιμη και απλή. Πάμε λοιπόν να δούμε μαζί πώς λειτουργεί. Η διαδικασία είναι πολύ γρήγορη. Χρειάζονται λιγότερα από 10 λεπτά και μπορείς να κάνεις εγγραφή με το email σου, το Google ή τον Apple λογαριασμό σου. Χωρίς περίπλοκες διαδικασίες, χωρίς ατελείωτες φόρμες. Απλώς ένα εύκολο και άμεσο ξεκίνημα. Αυτό που μου άρεσε είναι ότι δεν χρειάζεσαι μεγάλο budget για να ξεκινήσεις. Εγώ ξεκίνησα με μόλις 10 ευρώ. Μπορείς κι εσύ. Μπορείς να κάνεις κατάθεση μέσω τραπεζικής μεταφοράς, Apple Pay ή Google Pay. Επίσης, και ένα ωραίο bonus. Για κάθε 100 ευρώ που επενδύεις, παίρνεις επιπλέον 10 ευρώ. Ένα μικρό boost πριν ξεκινήσεις πραγματικά να επενδύεις. Στη συνέχεια περνάμε στο ουσιαστικό μέρος, την επένδυση. Κάθε μήνα η Scramble παρουσιάζει μια προσεκτικά επιλεγμένη ομάδα από ανερχόμενα consumer brands από όλη την Ευρώπη. Μπορείς να επιλέξεις ανάμεσα σε δύο groups. Το Group A είναι η πιο ασφαλής επιλογή, με ετήσια απόδοση περίπου 12,4%. Το Group B έχει μεγαλύτερο ρίσκο, αλλά προσφέρει πιθανές αποδόσεις που μπορούν να φτάσουν έως και το 25%. Οπότε, ανάλογα με το επίπεδο ρίσκου με το οποίο νιώθεις άνετα, μπορείς να διαλέξεις την επιλογή που ταιριάζει καλύτερα σε σένα. Από εκεί και πέρα, το μόνο που χρειάζεται να κάνεις είναι να παρακολουθείς την πορεία της επένδυσής σου. Αυτό που μου έδωσε ακόμη μεγαλύτερη σιγουριά είναι ότι η Scramble επενδύει μαζί με τους χρήστες της. Έτσι, δεν χρειάζεται να την ελέγχω κάθε μέρα, ούτε να το σκέφτομαι υπερβολικά. Απλώς, ανοίγω την εφαρμογή μία φορά το μήνα και βλέπω πώς πηγαίνουν τα πράγματα. Και κάτι σημαντικό, η Scramble έχει ήδη ξεπεράσει τα 2,2 εκατομμύρια σε χρηματοδότηση για brands μέσα από προηγούμενους γύρους. Μετανιώνω που δεν το είχα ξεκινήσει νωρίτερα. Αν σας κινεί την περιέργεια, ρίξτε μία ματιά, δείτε πόσο ταιριάζει και σε εσάς. Αν κάνετε εγγραφή μέσω του δικού μας link, θα λάβετε ένα bonus εγγραφής των 10 ευρώ. Ο τρέχον γύρος έχει ήδη ξεκινήσει και ολοκληρώνεται στα μέσα Δεκεμβρίου. Οπότε προσωπικά δεν θα το άφηνα. Δοκιμάστε το τώρα. Εξερευνήστε την πλατφόρμα και πείτε μου τη γνώμη σας στα σχόλια.
Super. Okay, Dimitris. So once again, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. As I said previously, your presence here has an incalculable value for the community of Greek startup founders. And just to start, but even before your introduction, I would like to ask you some ice-breaking questions, if you don't mind. Okay, so first ice-breaking question will be for me, your best investment versus your worst failure.
Well, that's a great question. Not sure if it's an ice-breaking question, but yeah. Well, worst investment, I would say it was during the worst investment, obviously, because it didn't proceed to something more where we all had high hopes. Was about 4 years back in a like food delivery company, which of course like that was just on the hype with your Uber Eats, your Deliveroo's, like in Greece would be your eFoods and Volts. So even though there was like a big hype, we've also at that moment back in 2021, after like the very big boom of VC and the increase in valuations, exactly after that we also had the a lot of global economic events that basically had an impact on everyone. So I would say in regards to the actual investment it was good when it came down to the potential growth, but at the end of the day, it didn't go through. Could have been like bad market environment, could have been like the deliverables from the company, but unfortunately going through. Best investment so far, I would say with wealth management platform, neo banking kind of bit on the middle. Yeah, which has been going very, very well. The company keeps growing. I think they're on a Series C right now. So like we're expecting quite a few things from them.
Nice. Now that one you made me realize it as a ice-breaking question. It was quite a punchline because in my mind it was more like a this or that question, but of course it requires a bit more of argumentation. So perhaps the next one will be more this on that
Yep.
style, and it will be like highest entry ticket you gave versus the smallest entry ticket that you gave.
Yeah, but that's quite easy. Highest it was 20,000 euros. Smallest 2.5.
Got it. And the most profitable industry in your portfolio right now versus least profitable industry?
As an angel investment, always, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
I think fintech so far seems to be like the most profitable, as I mentioned, like on the previous question. That especially drives quite a lot the let's say the potential returns. Obviously, no exit so far, so still waiting for that. Worst industry, the worst industry.
And with worst, I don't mean those that are maybe generating currently the least revenue,
Yeah.
but those that are a bit more like dying or not have much potential for the short, medium future.
I don't think I have an answer for that. I think like because like the environment constantly changes, right? And new and it really really depends how the company is going to pivot. Like doesn't matter if you're like on a bad, let's say, industry when it comes down to, of course, what we're seeing on the market as exits, which is basically what an investor wants to see in the future. So if a company can pivot correctly and find that market that they want to serve and basically do that well, I think everybody has a chance.
Got it. Understood. And yeah, that was pretty much the introduction. And now I think the people that are watching this episode will love to hear more about your profile. Who are you? Where do you come from? What's your professional background? And how did you become an angel investor in first place?
Well, I'm from Greece, Thessaloniki more specifically. I've lived both in Thessaloniki, Athens, and London. So I've been in London for about 6, 7 years now. Also did my master's degree over here. So when it comes down to professional background, I actually didn't start, with a finance background or didn't work in a finance related position. It was mostly, as you know, a lot of Greek people would do start like within the hospitality sector, but more on the marketing and PR positions. Then jumped quite quickly into another travel tech giant, which was Expedia. And then from there, I found my way into the fintech industry, which kind of like really inspired me back then. And it was like basically at the moment that you would see how fintech would actually work. And of course the data analysis industry that I was part of. So like this is more or less my professional background, and then the to answer your question, how I became an angel investor, I actually kind of owe that to an ex-professor of mine that I'm very happy to be part of the Hellenic Business Angel Investors Network, and kind of mentioned that to me on a more it's a funny story because it was more of a professional discussion on how the university could kind of leverage more data when it came down to understanding investments. And then from there it became like more of a like this is what we do. It would be great to be part of the network. And from there, kind of like, of course, for me also expand my knowledge into how investing works. And of course, like it is quite different when it comes down to like really, really early stage investing that we do, like your pre-seed investing, and your Series A, Series B, where you already have a kind of more of a an idea that's already working, operating, and has a specific customer base. So yes, I would say this is the way that kind of got into angel investing.
Okay, a roller coaster of studying, experiences, connection that eventually brought you here and in London. You mentioned early stage startups before. I would like to focus on that for my next question. More specifically, what criteria do you prioritize when evaluating if an early stage startup is worth of your money, of your funding?
Well, of course, it's the team is very important. Seeing their experiences, seeing what they've worked on previously, but also at the same time, how well they are, creating and expanding their current idea, right? Metrics, they're important at some point, but also because we're talking about very early stage ideas. I think like sometimes it's not that relevant. So what you need to put your focus on would definitely be the team and their views of expansion and how they envision the product and their idea and how this could solve like problems within the markets that they operate. So I would say yes, the experience, their level of understanding the potential problems that will come is very, very important. And then of course, all the rest will come if the product and service is good.
Okay, if you could classify on a scale to 1 to 3 these three elements,
Yeah.
how would you prioritize them? Is a team, vision, and traction, either with revenue or other type of visibility on the market and similar?
Yeah, I would say at that early stage, vision team would be the most important things. And of course, again, like financial metrics will come later on, because you're putting your investment into something that you will hope that will be. It's not something tangible, and that's why everybody says angel investing is the highest risk of investment you would ever do. So you're basically in a sense betting into something, into an idea.
Okay. Okay, so if team and vision is the first place,
Yeah.
what's your ideal founding team size or structure that you'd like to see in a startup to think, okay, that looks pretty solid, I'm gonna put my money there?
Yeah, I would say like 3 people is more than enough. Obviously, you want your technical founder there with good experience and the ability to work on different models, and then of course the commercial side will come. So obviously you expect the team to increase based on the traction they receive from the market. But like I would say 2, 3, maximum 4 people on that founding team is more than enough.
Okay, yeah, and let me focus a bit more on this, because I think that rather than the amount of people, what I also heard from you is their competence. So maybe we can have like 3 people that are very good at marketing, 1 people that is very good at business development. But if you could, set up your dream team in terms of departments, let's say, of the startup, could you maybe clarify a bit, what's your preference in that?
Yeah, I mean, it's sad to say I'm coming from a business background, economic finance background, but I would say the most important thing at the beginning is the technical founder. So if you have like a technical founder, that's the thing. Like a technical founder can learn easier to do to do that business with other investors or other companies that would cooperate, or your vendors, whatever that is. A founder with just a business background, so it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to also do and help the technical co-founder. So I would say, yeah, probably the most important thing would be that technical part, and then the business part will come.
Okay, got it. Every time I'm talking with startup founders here in Greece, I always have the suspicion that when they refuse, like they get a rejection from a potential investor, is not necessarily because their prototype, MVP, or industry they're focusing on has no potential, but also because potentially their industry or their vision does not align necessarily with the vision of the angel investor. So I'd like to ask you specifically for you first, and then maybe for your colleagues, how much is important that startup match the vision and the philosophy and the mission of the angel investor that helps them?
Look, I think it's very important to mention here, like we're all individuals. Obviously, a lot of us can syndicate, but what is important when you're reaching out to angel investors is to understand their background, right? So, like if a company comes to me which is like more life sciences oriented and has a lot of focus within clinical trials and patents within the healthcare life sciences sector. Unfortunately, I don't have the expertise and knowledge to understand that. So it's exactly what you mentioned. Like it's more about the knowledge, the vision. The vision, yes, of course, I want my portfolio companies to be able to expand, grow, get the best talent they can, and of course grow in revenue and size. And I guess like that's everybody's vision at the end of the day. The way like the question is, how are you going to do that during this period, right? So if we can also align, because like again, we're not going to be majority investors, fortunately or unfortunately. You're going to have later on a more seasoned professional investors that can provide a lot more support when it comes down to the development of the company. I think the most important fact, just to summarize again, is to understand exactly my background. I can invest in what I understand. I cannot invest in what I don't understand because I don't have an infinite pool of money.
Yeah, makes totally sense. And if you could just give us some hints about your current portfolio as an angel investor, like what market has the biggest slice, and which one is instead your bet, your potential bet for the future?
The biggest part would be fintech. I would say fintech data analysis, and then like a big bet for me would be with AI as well. So obviously everybody's trying to use some form of AI. The question is how, where, and what is your niche? So this is a bit of a bet for me. But yeah, there are like a lot of growth opportunities in the sector. The question is how you leverage and finding that niche market that you can serve well.
Okay, and when you mention artificial intelligence, is it specifically applied to the fintech market or more in a broader sense?
Yeah, it's within fintech and sales, I would say.
Okay. Dimitris, in front of you there is €1 million right now on the plate. In which market or industry would you invest it?
Well, if we think of the current conditions, I would say defense tech. And like we've been seeing, obviously the what is happening in the world is very unfortunate, but if we're talking like business wise on those cases, and defense tech can is not only creating weapons and systems that are trying to destroy something. It could be also like cybersecurity defense tech, could be defense tech when it comes down to the actual civil defense, meaning systems that can spot like, I don't know, tsunamis or fires or earthquakes, these type of
Natural disasters.
Vertical, correct, natural disasters. So these type of verticals as well. So I would say this is something that I would definitely be looking to get more into and finding more opportunities.
Also, if you're talking specifically about Greece, will you
Yep.
still take this choice, or maybe divert it towards a different industry that you're right now you see growing in the Hellenic context?
No, definitely in Greece as well. We have very, very good up and coming companies right now receiving a lot of interest and capital from investors, not only within Greece but outside of Greece. And we're talking about big names, and we've been seeing like big names investing into Greece the last 4 or 5 years. So the good thing with Greece, and very big advantage that it still has for investors coming from either EU, Middle East, the US, Asia, is that we're still on a good level when it comes down to um, valuations and economic conditions. So a lot of people will keep investing into the country, into Greek companies. We have very, very good minds working on those ideas. We have like very good technical founders coming from Greek universities. So I would definitely keep investing into Greek companies.
Okay, super. You mentioned multiple times about universities, about technological hubs that right now in Greece are mostly focused in Athens and Thessaloniki. If you were in the shoes of a startup founder, a tech startup founder outside of these hubs, what would be your suggestion to have their idea shown to the world, especially to Greece, and to maybe find other angel investors that are interested in helping them?
Yeah, of course. And I mean, look, we're living in a world that most of the things are being done online now. You don't have to be in a specific place. Obviously, it helps. It's another thing to raise capital if you're a founder in New York, where of course the opportunities are bigger, but also the competition is bigger. And it's another thing to be in a rural area in Greece, right? But of course that shouldn't kind of block you from accessing those opportunities. I think like every person that is serious about investing is very easily found on LinkedIn. You can see what they do, you can see who they are, so everybody can reach to anyone. It helps if you go to events. It helps if you create networks of people that can both help you with your idea, but also help you help to introduce you into other people that either they're going to commit capital, or again they're going to make more business introductions for you in the future. But I don't see that as a very big factor of being not in Athens or in Thessaloniki. I don't see that as a very big obstacle for someone that is serious about what they do.
Okay, well, thank you so much. That was very insightful as a short but very helpful conversation. If you could leave us with one final advice that you would like to give to Greek startup founders, what would it be?
I think, like, for me, it is, don't just get trapped in the idea of serving the Greek market. Don't restrict yourself into markets that are not going to help you grow. So think more about the future. Think, because this is what an investor wants to hear, and this is how you're going to drive returns for them and yourself as well. Dream big, but also try and deliver, and and get those small wins. Each small win is still a win. So yeah, those two things I would say.
Thank you so much, Dimitris. I'm sure our conversation will help many people, many startup founders in Greece, looking beyond their borders and hopefully launching a great project and eventually getting funded and find more angel investors like you.
Of course. Thank you for having me. Pleasure.